In the daytime, I'm Emily, just a normal girl with a normal life. But there's something about me that no one knows yet, because I have a secret. Miraculous, New York special, and the Shanghai special, just because. Azura Media Club, episode 21, I think. I'm your coming later, Emily. Here we are talking about Miraculous Ladybug, the two specials, New York and the Shanghai special there. So, yeah. So let's talk about them. So I remember when the New York, like after season 3, we're all just like, anxious for more Ladybug. And we finally got our answer when the New York special came out. It was a special we knew about. We didn't know really what to expect from it, but it was awesome. It actually did a lot of things we were kind of wondering about. They touched on the Kagame Luca stuff briefly, but then they were like separated from them. So then we got back to the Marinette and Adrian stuff, which at the beginning of season 4 they kind of go back on that, and then they like have to get into that again after a couple of episodes. You finally get there, which I would know because I actually started watching season 4 already by accident. I forgot that these specials, not that they existed, but just that, that they were a thing, like, that came after season 3. I don't know, for some reason they just seem like they came much later on, but not so, I mean, we're burning through this show, and that's the thing. It's just like, when it came out, it took so long for it to come out. It felt just so, like such a wait, and it was over years, of course, so it was a wait, and it did take a long time to come out, but looking back now, of course, now when you just watch it and binge it all together, it doesn't actually take that long to get through. It's funny, the concepts of time and life and all that bullshit. Anyway, so, yeah. Miraculous New York. It starts off, they're trying to... Well, first of all, Marinette has to go and convince Gabriel Agreste to let Adrian go to New York, because, Gabriel Agreste and all of his bullshit, and wants to protect his Sentimonster son there. So, coincidentally, he also needs to go to New York because he discovered there's a Miraculous there. Lost Miraculous, as they call it, quote-unquote. Which is true. It is kind of one of the lost ones. But also, now that Master Fu, after not Furious Fu, that's the next season, after, Feast, after that episode, had made all the Guardians come back, and we see that at the end of the New York special too. Spoilers, by the way. Of course you know there's spoilers. I mean, this is only like the 4th Ladybug video that I'm doing here. But now that the Guardians are back, they can actually keep hold of that kind of stuff. And that's kind of what... The special are setting up a bigger world to Ladybug. The New York one, we get a bunch of heroes like Majestia, the Batman character. I don't remember all their names. I know there's Sparrow, the robot girl. I can't remember her name either. But, like we'd heard about Majestia before. We just thought that's like a comic book character. That's not like a real character, like a real character, but no, she exists in this world. Even the President of the United States is a superhero that's basically Captain America. And honestly, if you think about it, who the fuck would you want running our country more so than Steve Rogers? Like, for reals. I mean, it's a girl. She's a girl in this universe, but, like... And that's the thing about Majestia and the Batman character, is they're all girls. The Batman character pretends to be a guy, to keep up appearances, because, like, previous generations of this character had been a guy, so... But she kind of gives it up at the end of the special there, so that's kind of nice, not have to hide anymore kind of thing. I had this, like, funny idea. Not, like, a funny idea, but, like, I... Okay, so, like, after Spider-Verse and all of that, the second one, Across the Spider-Verse there, like, it's got me thinking, you know, like, everyone's like, oh, well, superheroes are always a metaphor for just, like, being your true self and stuff. And it's like, you know, everyone's talking about how, well, Spider-Gwen can't be trans because this and that, and, you know, every superhero is a trans allegory. It's like, yeah, you know what, every superhero kind of is a trans allegory, in a sense. And then I started, like, looking into things in Ladybug in my head, like, I was thinking about it all, and I'm like, oh my god, this scene, and this scene, and this scene, what if I made, like, a fanfic where Meredith's just, like, a trans girl, and then I'm like, wait a second, they did that episode where she has to get into Adrian's party, and she's Marino, so what if I just use that character as, like, that was her true identity, that was, like, her previous identity and all of that. Anyway, the reason I bring this up is because, like, the owl, or what, it's not the owl, because the owl is the other guy, but, like, he looks like an owl. I don't know, the Batman character could be seen as some kind of allegory for something like that as well. You know, it's all about being your true self, and I just thought that was interesting, you know, it's like, you could basically headcanon any superhero as, like, a trans character. Can you imagine? Because, like, she always says that, and, like, Cat Noir says that, too. He's always like, oh, I can always be myself with you, my lady, and all this stuff, you know, and he's like, I'll only ever have this much fun with you and stuff, and it's like, interesting, you know, but it's more about being yourself and your identity, obviously, and stuff. Anyway, that's season 4 and stuff. That's not stuff we need to talk about right now. I just thought that was interesting. I wanted to mention that. That was recent Ladybug-related thoughts I was having about things. Anyway, so you got the New York special, you know? When it came out, we were all like, this is great. I love this. This is a great special. And then the Shanghai special came out, and that was great. So the New York one, like I said, yeah, okay, so she has to convince Gabriel. Turns out he was on board the whole time. He wanted to, because he's got to go to New York too, I think, or whatever, so he can get this Lost Miraculous, right? So, and what's interesting is they're on the plane, okay, and there's a couple of great scenes on the plane, you know. The whole thing about this special is like, oh no, Adrian's just a friend now, and that's what she keeps saying to Alia and stuff, and Alia's not buying it. And, I mean, it's mature of Marinette to try to move on and just try to have Adrian as a friend. Because that's where we need to be with Adrian and Marinette, I feel like, at this point. And they kind of get there later on, but she's still hopelessly in love with him, and she's still acting like an, you know, like Marinette the whole time. Freaking out and, you know, being all over the place and stuff, and it's fun to see, but it's also a little bit frustrating. You know, that's the whole show. It's like, it's a good show, but it's frustrating. But I like going back in retrospect, seeing where they get, you know, at the end of season 5, where they're actually together and stuff. Like, there's a lot of nice moments leading up to it. And we knew about all that then, but we were just kind of, like, grasping onto the moments, not really appreciating the whole piece of media, you know, as a whole there, which we can kind of do now, you know, now that we kind of, and it's not over, obviously, but I like that. I like, in hindsight, seeing these things, like, so, like, yeah, she's supposed to sit next to Adrian on the plane, but she can't do that, you know, because she's Meredith. She's freaking out the whole time. So she switches seats. And Adrian, you can kind of see it. He's, like, really wanting to spend more time with Marinette because she was a good enough friend to get him on this flight to go to New York and all this stuff. And at a certain point, they're both awake, like, in the morning or something, and they're looking out at the sunrise. And everyone else is asleep. They're just looking out this little window there, and they're sharing a moment. It's really sweet and nice, and that's a classic Meredith and Adrian moment there. But, you know, at the same time, he's like saying to Marinette, he's like, you know, I really appreciate that you like did this for me, that you gave me this opportunity. You stood up to my father. Like, people usually don't do that, and people never can change his mind for the most part. We even said that in season 3 with the Lila thing. Um, and Marinette did that. And of course, Gabriel chose this all on his own, but they don't know that. So to Adrian, this is like a really, really awesome gesture of, you know, my friend Marinette or whatever. So yeah, they just share a really nice moment there, watching the or sunrise together, and it's really sweet and it's nice, you know. And then a villain comes to steal the turbine. Is that what it is? The fan thing on the side of the plane, you know, on the wing or whatever. He comes to steal that. And what's cool about this is, in Ladybug as a whole, the villains are always pretty sympathetic, you know. You always get to see them come into their own, and they're just normal people, right? Hawkmoth is taking advantage of these normal people to become villains. It's not like every other superhero thing where these people, not that they're not normal, but you know what I mean, they just kind of become a permanent villain, you know, like a real villain. And that's what I'm getting at, is this guy is like a real villain, like for reals. Like, he's always a villain. He's always on. He's like Hawkmoth, except worse in a lot of ways. He's more of what you would think of from a typical superhero villain. And you know, they're standing there watching this sunset, or this, why do I keep saying sunset? The sunrise. And they notice this, but, you know, obviously they can't go and transform when they're with each other. So, but then you see Majestia and the Batman come in and save the day, along with the robot and the Sparrow lady. They fix the problem and get the guy out of there and whatever, and repair the plane so that it's fine again. And so it's cool, and it's a good introduction to those characters, and we get to kind of see a little taste of what superheroes are like everywhere else in the world. And that's what these specials, like I said, are really about, is that. So, so yeah, so after that, they go and they get settled, and there's this whole gag with Marinette and Adrian, like, not be able to go through an automatic door or whatever. And the Sparrow and the robot lady are constantly, like, watching them. That's, like, their thing, is to watch them for some reason. I guess because they know that they're Cat Noir and Ladybug and whatever. So... Oh, and there's this whole thing where Miss Mendeleev is there instead of Mrs. Boussier, because Mrs. Boussier is pregnant or whatever. And that all gets paid off in season 5, I guess. Like, but, so yeah, they're there. There's this party on the roof. Like, apparently there's superheroes for everything. So, like, there's this hot dog superhero or whatever. So he, like, comes down and, like, gives out magic hot dogs or whatever that makes people do different things. Like, some people's voices get weird and all this stuff. And then it's like, but Marinette and Adrian's, like, they fly up, and they're there, and Alia gets the Sparrow lady, who has a guitar, to start playing their song from the Chloe episode, you know, Despair Bear, episode, you know, the dun 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 dun, and that, like, really romantic song, and it's like, oh, it's a nice moment. They're starting to dance together, and everyone's dancing together down on the roof, but they're up in the sky, like, in the moonlight, dancing together, and it's a really nice moment. So, classic, Marinette Adrian stuff there. Yeah, so, after that, the villain gets out again. He breaks out because Hawkmoth is there. He akumatizes him, and he gives him the power to, I don't know, be more powerful or something. And the whole thing is that he, like, wants him to go steal the saber that's, like, this historic artifact in this museum. And so he's not really after the saber, he's after the Miraculous that's in the case with the saber. So as soon as he breaks in to steal the saber, they're after the thief of the saber, so Hawkmoth can just like swoop in and grab the Miraculous. So then he gets that, and then later on he gives the guy the Miraculous to have the freedom to, that's like the Miraculous's power is freedom. So he releases all the other supervillains of their restraints. So like for the Batman character, his morality isn't an issue anymore. So then he just can go around and punish anybody, you know, basically. The Superman character basically just like isn't afraid of how much power she has anymore. You know, very typical stuff there, but it's cool to see that. That's later on. That's at the end though. When they're ravaging around and whatnot. There's this whole thing that Ladybug like didn't want Cat Noir to leave Paris, and Natalie makes a Sentimonster so that Paris gets really damaged while Ladybug and Cat Noir aren't there. Somehow Hawkmoth knows this, or that they're not there. How does he know they're not there? Like, cause he saw them in New York or something? I don't remember how that works, but what was the point of that? Why did he do that? To distract them from what he was doing in New York, I guess, or something? I don't know. Anyway, point being, they're in New York too, and they couldn't take care of the supervillain, and he actually, like, they're all up on this rooftop, and he gets Cat Noir. Well, they're arguing about how Cat Noir is there, him and Ladybug, because he's not supposed to be there. He's supposed to be back in Paris, and he's like, can't explain the fact that he's Adrian Agreste, and Marinette was the one who got him to be able to go to New York. And she's complaining about him for being in New York, even though she's the one who did that. You know, like, he can't explain that to her because that would compromise his secret identity. So it's one of those things. So, but she's really mad about this, you know, and everything just keeps going shittier and shittier, and they're arguing about this, and then when he's distracted for a second, cause she's like, oh, I can't trust you anymore because of this, and that like breaks him, you know, basically, and so he's just momentarily like stunned by that, so the villain takes advantage of that while he's got his cataclysm out, and he like cataclysms the fucking robot lady, and she like dies basically, and it's like, oh god, you know, like, this is terrible. And you see Majestia just like, boom, like, supersonic, like, fly to her. And they're all pissed off about that. So they're like, really pissed off at Ladybug and Cat Noir. Ladybug does her Miraculous Ladybug, and that ends up working out, and the robot comes back to life. But they're like, you need to give us your Miraculous, and get the fuck out of here, and you can have them back when you, like, leave, or whatever. And they're like, we can't do that. Like, you know, because we don't want to do an identity reveal, basically, at this point. God, they just need to do that at this point. If that's not what's, like, in the next season, like, that and the Gabriel Agreste stuff, like, oh my god, I don't even know. There's another special apparently coming out, but it has nothing to do with any of that. It's, like, alternate universe, like, Ladybug, where she's evil or something. I don't fucking know. Anywho. So, there's this whole thing, and then, but yeah, they run off. They, like, escape into the sewers. Ladybug's, like, talking to Cat Noir about this and, like, all this stuff. And then they both de-transform to feed their Kwamis or whatever. And Adrian renounces being Cat Noir. And Ladybug is, like, really shocked and saddened by this. And it's like, oh, man. It's, like, all emotional and stuff. And, of course, we know he's going to be Cat Noir again, obviously. But at the time, you know, it's like, wow. Like, oh, my God. Like, he's renouncing being Cat Noir, and especially this affects Ladybug, like, really badly. Even later on, she's like, I don't know if I could be Ladybug without Cat Noir. She even says that, and the robot plays that back as the message, and that's why Cat Noir like wants to get back on board again and be Cat Noir, but he screwed up and he failed in a lot of ways, and so he's telling this to Ladybug, and she's kind of like, you know, so but then there's a whole okay, so like after that they're back at the hotel, and then it's like Adrian has to leave because his dad, like, I don't know, made a automatic message and put it on the car seat or whatever about how Paris is too dangerous. I mean, New York's too dangerous or whatever. So like Adrian's about to leave, and it's in the rain, of course, because it's always raining whenever they have these like pivotal moments, because rain is their thing. There's a great line from the next season there in Mr. Pigeon 72, I believe, where Ollie is like, the whole thing is not to like learn. You gotta learn to dance in the rain or something like that, you know, like, so anyway, point being, that they're there, it's like this rainy moment, she's like standing there, like, while Adrian gets in the car, and he's like, I'm sorry, Marinette, like, my father, like, wants me back and all this, and I'm really glad that you did this all for me, but I'm sorry that, like, this is it, you know, I'm sorry that this is coming to a close, and she just kind of stands there, and then Ollie is like, what the hell, like, you're supposed to, you know, save him, you're supposed to say, like, hey, I want you to stay, Adrian, and she, like, lays it down on the line, she's like, this is where you gotta decide, Marinette, she's like, is Adrian your friend, or is he more than a friend? And you gotta make this decision now. She like lays down the thing, and Merida's just standing there, like, sad or crying, or I can't remember. It's just like this moment, and then she like starts running after him, and she like bikes after him, but she never catches up to him, basically. And then the guy gets akumatized again, and he gets the miraculous, like I was talking about, and he frees all the superheroes to do their stuff, so Ladybug and Cat Noir and Sparrow and the robot lady have to team up to fight him and basically save the day. You know, it's great. It's good action stuff. There's always good action in this. Oh, I forgot to mention, at the time, too, especially, it was great because my friend John, like, hates Mr. Pigeon. It's like his least favorite villain. And the special starts off with them fighting Mr. Pigeon, and he's gonna take the Eiffel Tower into space. How did I forget to mention that? That's the peak, like... I remember when this, like, came out, and I'm just like, what the fuck? This is awesome. I busted up laughing when it's like, oh my god, here it is, the Ladybug movie that we've been waiting for. And then it's like, it starts off with goddamn Mr. Pigeon, you know, again. For the 51st time, they said, in the movie, so well on his way to 72 for the next season there, but what the fuck. So it's really meant to show off the Astro Cat and Astro Bug, or whatever, the Space Bug and whatever I think it's Astro Cat and Space Bug, some bug related, you know, thing. They're space things where they can go into space, basically. So yeah, anyway, so they what was I saying? Oh yeah, so it's the final battle, they do that, and eventually they win, and, you know, everything's good again. And yeah, so I'm trying to think. I think that's kind of the end, right? And then I talked about the part at the end with the Sparrow and the, you know, like, she just... Oh, well, she gives Sparrow the Miraculous to, like, use, and then a guy comes back to, like, take it from her, and then that doesn't happen. The whole thing is about, like, the older superheroes, which are, like, the parents of the younger superheroes, like, not trusting them, so it, like, comes full circle, and they, like, learn to trust them now, and all that kind of stuff, so... Yeah. So it's a great special, and it was great at the time. It was very good, and it helped the wait for season 4 there. And then we got the Shanghai special a little bit later on. Another great special. Which, yeah, so the whole point of that one is like, there's this thing, they start off with like this flashback to show this new character, Faye, and she's the guardian of a thing called the Prodigious, and she had this bracelet, like, which got stolen from her by this guy Cash. And that's kind of the whole central conflict with her character throughout the special there. She's trying to get that back and figure out who burned down her dad's, like, martial arts academy or whatever. So, it was this guy Cash too, by the way. Sorry, spoilers. But also, Gabriel Agreste had bought this bracelet from Cash 15 years ago in order to go back and get this Prodigious. It's like you have to be there at a certain time when like the moon like is in perfect alignment or whatever, you know, like that kind of thing. So he's like waited 15 years for this. So he's gonna go to Shanghai and he's using it as a disguise, like, oh, we're going there on business, like a business thing, you know, like a fashion thing or whatever. So he takes Adrian with him, and the whole thing is like they're on school break or whatever. So she's really ready to spend time with Adrian, and then he's going to Shanghai, and so she's like, well, shit, I can't, like I didn't know that, and that, you know. And then she finds this opportunity. Her uncle, the one from Kung Food, you know, back in season 1, who's only ever been mentioned in that one episode. Oh, also the Quagga the necklace thing gets mentioned again, which I didn't even mention in season 2 episode Bafana, because I kind of forgot about it. Tiki like spits up this gem, and she's like Marinette like doesn't know what to make of it. She's like, oh, it's nice, Tiki, but then you see like she wears it on her neck as like this necklace. I forgot to mention that, I think, in that episode, or maybe I did, I don't know. Anyway, it ends up in like season 4, or actually season 5, I think. It's like halfway through season 5, being this jewel that like lets you communicate with other ladybugs from the past or something. Like, it's this whole thing. It rarely ever gets brought up. You know, you only see it a couple of times, really. But I mean, I guess Marinette always wears this thing. It gets stolen later in this. That's why I'm bringing it up. But anyway, her uncle there, is there in Shanghai, and she finds an excuse to bring him his present in person, because she's got to like mail it out, because this is his birthday. I guess I should have mentioned that. And this is the so like it's Dupen, which is her dad's side, and then Chen, who's Dupen Chen, you know. So the Chen side of her family is the uncle. You know, you get what I'm saying. It's her mom's side of the family. So she's like, I'm gonna go to Shanghai and do this, and then her parents are all excited. They're like, we put money aside ever since you were born in case you ever wanted to go there and like look into your roots and whatnot. So, and of course she's only going there because Adrian's there, you know, which is kind of a selfish reason to be doing that. But at the same token, in the end, she kind of gets to where she needed to be with all of that anyway. So, yeah. But she goes there with her parents' money, with the gift, and she gives it to her uncle. And then she's like, I need to go out and like blah 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 and basically to look for Adrian. And of course she doesn't like know like Mandarin or whatever to be able to speak to these people. So she's there and she's like, oh, it's no big deal. I have my phone. I can translate. Well, this girl, Faye, is stealing stuff to give to Cash so that he'll tell her about this whole thing with her father and all of that. Um, so she steals Marinette's earrings, her Quagatoa, I think it is called, her purse and all of that. So her phone is gone, and these kids are trying to warn her about it, but she, like, to her, they're just, like, yelling in a foreign language, and she's scared by them. So she runs off, but she thinks that they're chasing Faye because she stole Marinette's stuff, but she thinks they're chasing her. So basically, she tries to go and transform into Ladybug to help Faye, but she realizes that everything's been stolen from her. She, like, freaks out. She's, like, wandering around trying to, like, explain to people what she is, like, she needs, and um like, people don't get what she's saying, and so she starts drawing it, and they keep bringing her stuff, and then she, like, makes a really good drawing of, like, an earring, and then this lady, like, gives her these fake earrings, not fake, these earrings that are nice, but, like, they're not the ones that she's looking for, and she kind of explains that, and she's like, you take them anyway, they'll, they'll look nice on you, and so she takes them, um, and then, like, Faye, she finds Faye, she bumps into Faye, and they're, like, running around together. She thinks, oh my god, somebody who finally knows English and is helping me. Of course, Faye is the one who did all of this, and so she tries to set her up to bring her back to the shop so that she'll buy back her earrings and all of this stuff, because that's the plan that Cash and her, like, put together. So they go back there, she sees the earrings, but he wants, like, 100,000 money. I don't remember what the currency is, but it's a lot. It's too much. Like, he only offered Faye 200 of this currency for that. Um, yeah, so she's getting ripped off pretty good. Um, but Faye ends up swapping them out, with the ones that the lady gave her. So then Marinette's now got her earrings back, and I don't know about the other rest of her stuff. I guess all of that just... How the fuck... She has that purse in, like, every episode. Like, did she get that back? I don't know if they explained that or not. Anyway. So then she can be Ladybug again, but, like, Faye's with her the whole time, so she can't just be Ladybug. These people are chasing after them, etc., etc. She's trying to get back to her uncle, but, like, Faye keeps making up excuses for why that's not a good idea or whatever. Um, but what ends up happening? I'm trying to think. So Hawkmoth is there. Does he akumatize anybody? He akumatizes Cash later, and then the Guardian there at the end. But I'm trying to think. I guess he's just there for a while. He keeps making excuses why he can't hang out with Adrian. There's a bunch of scenes in between. I think this is I guess this is at the point. Well, Cat Noir comes and he's looking around for... I mean, obviously Adrian's already there. There's a bunch of scenes earlier on where Marinette's, like, trying to run after Adrian and stuff. It's a whole thing. But Cat Noir's there. He's, obviously Adrian's there. Turns into Cat Noir. He's like, I'll find Marinette better as Cat Noir. So he keeps showing people, like, hey, this girl is here and stuff, and I need to find her. And he actually even sends a message to Ladybug about how Marinette's missing, and he's there looking for her. And she gets that later, and she's like, "Aw," like you can see it on her face and in her reaction, and she's just like, "Oh, that's so sweet that he's looking for Marinette," like, which is her obviously, but um, and he's so concerned about Marinette and all this stuff. So that's fun. That's a good thing there. Um, so yeah, so I mean, eventually, I don't remember all the little details. There's a lot of scenes where Adrian and her uncle are talking in between, and they're hanging out, and there's, like, this bird and whatever. Um, and they're concerned about Marinette, obviously, and that's when he decides to go out and like look for Marinette and whatnot. So, um, but he doesn't find her. But like, so they're at the place, where the academy used to be. The Faye's father and her used to live, and this is where the prodigious is, behind this waterfall there. So we see Gabriel Agreste there. They're all there. She brought Marinette there, and Cash is there. And he's like arguing with them, and Gabriel Agreste finally like akumatizes Cash, and he like breaks into this sanctuary there. Marinette uses she finds out then about Faye and like what she's like and stuff, and she uses as an excuse to break away and become Ladybug so that she can, save the day and all that. So basically, yeah, they have this whole big fight there. They get down to where it is at, and Hawkmoth even like gets to the prodigious, and Faye ends up taking it away from him, but or getting it from him or whatever. But there's like this whole thing with this giant guardian statue thing, and he's like, he wants to put somebody under trial to see if they're worthy of the prodigious, which is basically just like a really powerful miraculous, if you want to think about it like that. It's got like, I don't know, like 8 or 9 Kwamis in there. They're not called Kwamis. They're all just called different things. It's all different names, but they're basically Kwamis. They're the little, they look just like this, They're little animal things. Although Marinette can't see them, which is interesting. Or Ladybug in this case can't see them, which is interesting. So, yeah, so the whole time she's fighting, she has like the powers to turn into these other animals and stuff. But there's like, and it's all based on her emotions and if she can control her emotions and whatnot. And the hardest one to get to is Dragon, and that's the one she has to get to prove she's worthy, basically. But they end up defeating Cash, and with her powers, and then Hawkmoth akumatizes the statue, the Guardian guy, and he becomes this big kaiju threat, level there, and so that's pretty cool. And he's like causing all this rampage and destruction, and he has like this beam that like takes things out, just like completely erases them essentially, or I don't know, stores them somewhere. That typical Ladybug power of logic where you get hit by a beam and you're just gone. So she hits Hawkmoth, she hits Cat Noir, like it's pretty hopeless. So it's her and Faye, and Faye's like, I'm not worthy of this shit, and she like undoes it, and she starts crying or whatever, and Marinette realizes she can't convince her as Ladybug, and Cat Noir couldn't convince her either, so she becomes Marinette again. She gives her a pep talk about, how she is worthy and all this stuff, and she's a great person, and she eventually agrees and gets the idea, and the giant guardian guy like destroys the platform they're on, and like Marinette is falling, and this is when she like activates the dragon. She has to be in those circumstances where it needs to activate, I guess. And so she finally realizes she's worthy and swoops down, saves Marinette, and then of course Marinette runs off to become Ladybug to help her out. But they battle the guy. Her lucky charm is like this vase thing, and she gets inside, and they push her in with water into the thing's mouth, and she breaks its heart and gets the Akuma, and so Faye's worthy, it turns out, and the thing turns into a Kwami, basically. It's like, oh, you didn't think you were done with me, right? And it's like, okay, cool, so that's a thing now, I guess. And then Marinette and Adrian and Faye and like those three guys who were chasing her earlier all go to Master or Seafood Chang or whatever his name is, his place there, and they all celebrate his 60th birthday, and that's it. That's the whole special, and they have like a nice little moment, her and Adrian there and stuff, and yeah, so that's it. And these characters from these specials like really don't show up many other times. Like they show up once, I think, in season 5, like near the end or something, but that's it. So it's like I don't really know what we're doing with these characters. Oh yeah, also by the way, oh wait, I don't have it anymore, do I? Nope. Nope, don't have it anymore. So all of the, because I gave it to one of my friends. Anyway, these are actually characters that were established, or a couple of them anyway, at least Majestia and a couple of the other ones, were established in a comic book, the Ladybug comic book, which I'll talk about at some point. There's also a Ladybug manga that has like the first few episodes there adapted into like manga form. I do still have that. I need to get my hands again on the Ladybug comic because I don't have that anymore because I gave it to somebody. So yeah, so but it's interesting because I knew about these characters from before from the comic, which had come out like years before that. So that's just interesting. It's an interesting little thing there. They kind of adapted bits of that comic into the New York special, so. But anyway, yeah, that's it. That's the two specials. They're good. I mean, good. They're great specials and really expand the world of Ladybug and whatnot. It's just interesting that they didn't really do much with that yet. You know what I mean? They haven't really. The idea was, I thought, that they were gonna maybe do their own shows with these characters and whatnot, but as far as I know, that never really happened. So they do have some other show, like Ghost Force or something. Like, I don't know if that's Ladybug connected or what. Like, there's a whole thing like Zag Heroes, but it's like, I don't know if that really is a thing or will become a thing in the future, maybe. Like, maybe they'll do a show where it's not just Ladybug. I would watch it, obviously. If it's connected to Ladybug, I'll watch it, but that's what this is kind of setting up, a bigger universe outside of just Ladybug there, which is nice. So, but yeah, that's it, really. Ladybug, Cat Noir, New York, and Shanghai specials. Next time we do Ladybug, it'll be season 4 review, which I'm chugging through. I'm on episode 8, I believe. Lots of good stuff in that season so far. Zoe and all of that, so talk about that next time. Yeah, so stick around for more movie reviews and shows and all of that, and never forget, magic comes from the heart, and I'll see you in the next one. Emily